Hello everybody, this is Haven Unearthly, and today we are going to be playing Splatoon 2. So, before we get started on this video, I would like to mention a few things. One of them being, I did upload a Splatfest video. I had more footage, and I still have more footage on it, like 2 or 3 videos, but I did not upload them because if you watched the first one, you noticed that there were some audio issues. Because to summarize it, basically, as I told you guys before, I got a new mic, and so it had just came the day of the Splatfest, and that same day, my original one decided to no longer work, so I had to use the new one, and it was kind of glitching. Like, the footage that I had recorded, I recorded with the first mic, but I did not know that despite me putting it on, like turning it on and everything, it just chose to not work. So I had to do a voiceover with the new mic over everything, which for some reason was really glitchy. It would buzz and kind of sucks. So I'm using that mic right now. I can't control if it does a little bit of, little static noises, but for the most part it seems pretty fine. But that is why I did not upload the footage, is because the in-game audio for some reason was way lower than usual. And I think it's really because the mic is a lot louder than my old one. So I need to jack it up a lot more for you to hear it. But it is what it is. If you guys actually still want to see those videos, I have them, but otherwise, that's why I haven't promoted the video or posted anymore. And I took a little break because, to be honest, that was probably one of the worst days of my life. I just had a really bad day that day. So, despite me loving the Splatfest and everything. But today, as you can see the title, we are going to be doing a roller comparison. I am really familiar with all the rollers. I love all of them. I have all of them. And also, don't mind my horrible rank in Rainmaker. I am working on it. I'm very close to A- in my other 2 ranks. But anyways, we are going to just go ahead and go try out the rollers. So as you can see, there are 5 in total, okay, which is the Splat Roller, the Krak-On, the Carbon, the Dynamo, and the Flings. That is also the order that you can get them, I believe. And I'm going to be talking to you about several things for each of them. The first thing that I'm just going to kind of name everything that I'm going to be talking about regarding the rollers, which is how to use them, their subs, their specials, how to kill them, and how, you would get killed, possibly, how to avoid getting killed, and when to use these rollers. So we're going to start off with the Splat Roller because it is the most basic one. I am going to equip what I would usually equip with a roller. So you definitely want to go for run. It's a necessity. Whichever one you get, run speed is important. Inking is highly important, and if you use your sub a lot like I do, I spam my subs when it comes to rollers. So I need Ink Saver sub. So we are going to try it out. There are a lot of videos that have showed, the range of Splat Rollers. So I'm not really going to focus too much on the range factor, although it is important. Splat Rollers have decent range. They will not outdo most shooters, so do not think you're going to outrange a shooter, especially if they're a splatter shot. Anything higher than that, it's just not going to happen. So you are going to want to get in people's faces most times. Now the good thing is that you can steamroll over people. So what does that mean? It means one hit, they all gone. But you still need to splat people in the face, or else you're gonna get killed a lot if you come over and try to steamroll everyone. In fact, most cases, it's not good to steamroll unless you're taking someone off guard or you're really close to them. Although if you're in the face of someone like an Aerospray or Splosiomatic, you're probably gonna lose. I died a lot of times trying to get in their face, and it's because they're good close up. So you can always, if you don't jump, you can just hit horizontally, and it's still gonna do good damage. I mean, it's not as great, but if you get close in people's faces, as you're seeing, it still does damage. Now, the good thing is that you have splashdown, and that means that if people are getting too in your face, you have a defense mechanism. So, yeah, that is it. I mean, the sub is good, but you're definitely going to want to learn to time it a little better. I mean, it's a good way to kind of distract people or kind of make a quick little line of ink, although I wouldn't really use it that much in a way to kill people. I mean, it's helpful, but you're going to want to focus more on splatting people. But yeah, with this weapon, it does run out of ink a lot. It's slow. I mean, it's mildly slow. So if you don't have a lot of run speed, I don't have a lot of run speed. You see how slow I am going. It's really slow. Don't try and steamroll over everyone. I've seen way too many people do it, and they get killed. So here's the thing with Splat Rollers. Most shooters can outrange you, so most of them are going to use that range, because even basic shooters like Splattershot can outrange you, so they're gonna use that range. It's best not to try and steamroll over the majority of people, like I said. It's better to just try and splat them in the face. That's the best way to go. Maybe even, I mean, if you have to, maybe even retreat. Sometimes it's better to leave than to stick around and fight. Sometimes. Sometimes it's just a losing situation. Especially since, even if you do get in the face of a shooter, they do have usually decent fire rates. So, it's going to be really easy for them to kill you. But I found that it's really easy to kill chargers with these, especially if they're not really paying attention to you, or if they're on the ground. It's really easy to just, I'm going to change it. It might seem a little bit all over the place at first, but trust me, there will be more order. This has the same range, the same capabilities. The only difference is preference. I personally don't like beacons or baller, but I know people that do. They're very useful, and what I've noticed is when someone's good at having it, they put it in very secretive locations that most people just wouldn't think that there would be one in. And the thing is, your teammates are going, opposing teammates are going to see it, so it's best to use it. If you have someone on your team that has beacons, you should use them. I've seen them sit there the whole map sometimes, and it's really a waste, because it's actually a really good thing to have. Baller, it is good. Especially if you corner someone, but I don't recommend putting yourself out in the open where there's like 3 people, unless you really know that you're gonna kill them, because the thing is, if you don't get any of them, you're gonna be stuck in a kill zone, is what I call it, kill spot, because you're gonna be surrounded. Because that's the downside to that ability. Plus, people can keep shooting at you. When I see someone using Baller, I continuously shoot at them, and it usually prevents them from getting nearby, or they just... I've never got... I think I've only gotten killed by them like twice because of that. But I have seen them do a good number on other people. Speed and range. You're probably going to want more, like I said, more run speed with these two. Think of the carbon as the aerospray of the rollers. And what I mean by that is, you know, there are shooters that have longer range, like the Jet Squelcher, and then there are ones that have really low range, like Sploosh and Aerospray, although the Sploosh does have lower range. Now here's the thing about the carbon. It already has heightened speed, so if you want to be quick, like, it's very mobile. So it's very easy to be quick with this thing if you keep running. But the problem is that you cannot one-shot anyone. It's a 2-shot. So what that means is, like, 99.9% of the time, you don't want to roll over people. It's just not, it's not worth it. You're most likely going to die unless that person is just really not paying attention to you. But, I mean, of course you can splat someone, and then, let me try it. Oh, dang it. I mean, if you kind of, like, combo it, it'll work, but it's pointless to try and run over people. Just don't do it. Most times you're going to need to get in people's faces. Vertical shots are your best friend. So are auto bombs. It might not look like it, but auto bombs are kind of, in a sense, a point sensor system, because they tell you where people are, even if they don't kill anyone. And most of the time, it's going to distract that person, because they have to get away or they're gonna die. So, if you see a lot of the other enemies in color everywhere, you don't know where anyone is, throw an autobomb. It will help, because they will show you where everyone is, because that person's going to have to leave or move. Now the good thing is you have Inkstorm. Inkstorm is a really good game changer, in my opinion. Now you can do it vertically or horizontally, and it depends on how you throw it. So if I throw it straight forward, then it's going to go straight forward. Now if I throw it sideways, it's going to go sideways. So depending on how you want to throw it, but keep in mind that it's not that long. So if you're trying to get it to go from across the one end of the map to the other, it's not going to do that. It's not going to last that long. So you're going to really want to put it where you want it to really focus on, or a little bit before that area is what I recommend. So it stopped at the cone. It actually didn't even get past here. So as you can tell, it does not go that long. But this is really good for splatting people in the face, getting in people's faces, and not keeping a distance too much. You're gonna want to get in people's faces. It's a 2-shot kill. If I could kill someone. there have been many times with rollers, especially this one, where, you know, it's best to retreat. And so I will just run around, keep going. And it kind of gives people a little bit of a tough time trying to chase you around. Unless they got distance on you, you don't want to let people like that chase you around. But if you're trying to retreat, that's the best way to go. But if people really want to kill you, they're definitely going to want a further ranged weapon to get in your to not have to get in your face, because you need to get in other people's faces to kill them. So if they prevent you from doing that, then that's a very good way to get you down. Another thing about carbons is that, you know, you don't want to be in front of them when they're flinging their ink. You're better off coming around them when they're not noticing you, swimming around, sneaking up on them if you have a close range. Because, you know, the effort it takes to throw this, you can kill them in that time. You can easily 3-shot kill with a shooter and they'll be down. I've gotten killed many times shooting, like flinging the ink, like mid-fling, getting shot at and getting killed. So most times you're not going to be able to get this close in people's faces. It's most likely going to be more like this. And you definitely don't want to over assume your range, because splat rollers have better range, but you have better mobility. You have better ink speed, as it says right here, look. So this has better range, as this one has really crappy range, but the handling and ink speed are different. Now, the good thing about Inkstorm is that it does kill people if they stay in it long enough. And if they get inked and you go up to them and splat them one time, it will kill them. Now we're going to try the Dynamo Roller. As you can tell, it is the slowest and it runs out of ink immensely. In fact, I really wouldn't recommend spamming your sub unless you want to run out of ink every other second, because it is just that kind of weapon. It's super slow. Keep in mind, this is with me having the run speed as a main, but as you can tell, it is slower. It's very thick, but it runs out of ink quickly. Now, the good thing about this thing about this one, you're going to want distance heavily. It's always going to be a 2-shot kill, and you don't want to get in people's faces. When I say you don't want to get in people's faces, I mean do not get in people's faces. They will kill you. The time that it takes for you to fling your ink, just look at it. That time, people will shoot you and kill you, and that's it. It's not, even though it's good, it's got good inking in the sense that it's very thick. You don't want to run around the map like you would with a splat roller or carbon, because it's easy to kill you with that lack of speed. Think of this more like the jet squelcher of rollers. You see how by the time I went to hit it, it was already gone. But yes, it is possible. Now, the good thing about the Dynamo, though, is fling speed, I want to say, is a little bit quicker when it's vertical. And you can one-shot roll over people. Okay, now, I'm not really a big fan of Stingray, but the good thing about Stingray is it shows you where people are. I'm not really good at using it personally, but if you're going to have a weapon like this, you're going to want to probably be sitting on somewhere high and just get rid of people. You're going to have to play more like a support player, and I would definitely recommend it for ranked, especially on a map like Moray, where you have a high platform to stand on. Somewhere in like Port Mackerel, it's going to be harder. I'm not saying you can't do it. Anyone can make anything work, if I'm being honest. But it's going to be, you're just going to have a harder time. Unless you get on somewhere high and you have good teammates that prevent people from getting too close to you. But your best friend is high platforms. Now, as far as killing a Dynamo goes, getting in their face is pretty good, but if you see them doing this, it's probably best to get out of the way unless you get up to them quickly enough where they just don't have enough time to fling you. I've gone in their face, shot at them, and they die. I've actually gone at them with a carbon and a flingza, and when it came to fling speed, I definitely won. And I was able to kill them because that Dynamo was getting in people's faces, and they just don't really have that capability. So it's really easy. All you need to do is cut the distance. That's all you need to do. Cut the distance, and they're going to be weak. Now, they do have ink mines, so it definitely, if you're already damaged, I believe it can kill you. But sneaking up on them, killing them if they're on a high platform, putting a bomb or something so they have to leave, it is very good. I wouldn't recommend going on the exact platform they just left from, because chances are they put an ink mine there. Which is by far my favorite, and at this rate, really the only one I use. Now, if you just look at the stats real quick, the range is way better. It's not going to beat the Dynamo's range. The Dynamo by far has the furthest range, but it's very close. The ink speed, it's not like the carbon. No one's going to beat the carbon in speed, but it still is kind of basically taking the good qualities out of every single roller and combining them. Now, splash walls are really good, and you need to learn to get strategic with these, because in Splatoon 1, I was very convinced splash walls were useless, pointless, no point in using them, but they're actually really good, especially if you come across snipers. So let's say there's a sniper right there, put a wall right here. That sniper will not be able to shoot past this. You don't have Dynamo range, so you do kind of have to get in people's faces. But the good thing is that it's a 2-shot kill if you do it horizontally, and you can roll over people if you need to. Like I said, with the Splat Roller and really most rollers, especially the carbon and everything, like, you really don't want to try and steamroll over people unless they're really just not expecting it or really just don't see you. It takes a bit. It really is a weak spot. But the Flingza does have range. But you do have to get more in people's faces than you would with the Dynamo. You can't really play support as much. You're gonna, at some point, have to get your hands dirty and get in the mid of an area. As you see, it's a 2-shot kill from a far distance. I mean, a 3-shot. But like I said, ink wall. People can't hurt you from it. So they're really good. Now, as far as the Splat Bomb launcher, it's very helpful to use it, but I do not recommend doing it when you're in a place that's very, I guess the word would be crowded, because I mean, since you're so focused on trying to get all your splat bombs out there, people are just going to try and shoot you and kill you, and it's going to work because you want to get all your bombs out there. So I definitely recommend doing it on a high platform where it's going to be harder for people to kill you or even know where you're at. And, okay, so how to kill a Flingsa is pretty much the same with Dynamos. The thing is, Flingses are good up close, but they're not like Carbons. They're not quick. They're not as quick. They can roll over you, but chances are you're going to see it before it happens, and you will have enough time to shoot them in the face. So when it comes to Flingsas getting in close, I would not say go in their face, because the thing is that when they fling the ink, it is going to kill you. Not once, but of course they have 3 options. You know, you can go like this, you know, or roll over. So they have a lot of options when it comes to killing. They are going to try and throw down splash walls. Do not try and spend your time shooting them down unless it's really in a vital area, because it's honestly a distraction method. It's to distract you, and you are not going to be able to shoot through it. It will go down. I'm going to throw a splash wall and let you see it for yourself. You notice right there's a little meter thingy going down. So it's timed, and then it's done. So something I've noticed other people do is they just go around the splash wall and kill. And that's it. All you have to do is go behind the splash wall. Now, of course, you can't always do that. If they're using splat bombs, you can easily kill them by just shooting them, hitting them. Carbons do have the speed. They have more speed to really get in there and get one in the face, but generally the rule of thumb with all rollers is you don't want to directly, fling someone in the face. You want a little bit of distance, because it does take a little bit for that ink to throw, and that goes with any of them, because people can shoot you. Now, I feel like you'll have an easier time doing it with these 2. Of course, that also includes this one. So, summary, with these guys, get in their face, but don't get in front of them unless you're really confident that you can be quick enough to shoot them before they splat you. Because the thing is, if you're close enough, as you saw with the dummies, they can one-shot you. It is possible. So if you're going to get in their face, try not to get right in front of them, maybe on the side of them, behind them, or just be quick. If you have range, it is good. But Dynamos are most likely going to play a support player, which means that they're really just going to sit in the back and try to take shots from there. Flanking them will be really good for you. And that's just how they have to play. It's most times that's just how they have to play. They have to play more like a support. Now, people do things differently, but I believe that is why they're giving you Stingray. And as you notice with Splatling and the Splat Charger, like the heavy Splatling, they give you Stingray because they understand that you can't get in people's faces. You running over and getting in people's faces, you're most likely going to get yourself killed just trying to use your special. And so you need that space. Ink Mines is supposed to try and help if anyone gets near you. I really don't like Ink Mine that much, but I know people that use it and they use it well, and it works. So that is just my personal preference. Everyone has different preferences. And same with these two, they're exactly the same. Not a single difference. You can see how much turf I've inked with them. I literally use these in the beginning and never again. But yeah, this one's my favorite. But I did use this one the most. Anyways, so with these two, the thing is you kind of have, you're not going to be the quickest, but so you really should not rely on steamrolling over people, but you can do it if you need to. Sneak up on people and it will work. Sometimes there's going to be someone that's so preoccupied on something that they just don't notice, or doing that over someone's spawn, although that doesn't always work if they use like splashdown or something. You can get killed like that, or if they put a bomb, you might die after killing them, things like that. It's not foolproof, but, or if you're on a tower, I have seen where people, it really doesn't matter, any of them, where they roll the whole tower, like they roll over the whole tower just repeatedly, so anyone that gets on it immediately gets rolled over. So honestly, I'm going to say that any of them, all of them are useful. I've seen people use all of them in ranked. I hardly see anyone use a Splat Roller. I mainly see people use Krak-On, Flings, and Dynamo. I rarely see Carbons, but they are there. There's nothing wrong with using them. If you like to get more in people's faces and get more kills, this is the one that's going to work for you. But you also have to understand that there are going to be times when you just need to leave, and that's what that good speed is there for. You can not steamroll over people successfully in one shot, so it's just better not to do it. Don't even try it. Just don't try it. If you hit someone once and they're in your face, you can roll over them once, but when you put your guard down to try and roll over someone, most likely it will give them enough time, especially shooters, and I'll even say blasters, enough time to shoot you in the face. And that's not what you want. But I do believe there are certain maps and modes that are better for each of them, but anyone can make anything work. So I'm not telling you you can't use this in certain maps. You can use anything in certain maps. I would not recommend a Dynamo that much for turf, but you can do it. They do good. It's not like they don't do it, but if you really want to ink an area, I mean, if you're not really going for kills, then, I mean, the thing is, Dynamo, you can go for kills, you cannot go for kills, but the objective for turf is to ink. The thing about Inkstorm is that it's not always going to be that useful. I feel like in a mode of tower, it might be less useful. That's not to say it would not be useful. I have used Inkstorm in tower, and it definitely does help to kind of push people out of an area. But something like Splashdown or, you know, Splat Bomb Launcher might be more useful on a tower if you're the one sitting on it, is what I'm saying. Or trying to protect it, like someone on it. It's just a little bit, these ones are a little bit more immediately helpful, as well as, I'll even say baller. But this one, you're going to have to try and go somewhere and throw it if you really want it to be effective. And you need to not get killed while you're trying to do that at the same time. So, but that's, once again, not to say that you can't use it. And then the Flings, I honestly feel like for most modes, you can use it perfectly and not have any problems. But if you're really trying to get in people's faces, I don't recommend it. I recommend Carbon and any of these two because, I mean, this is kind of an in-between of these guys and then the Dynamo. So you need distance, you do, but you don't need as much distance as a Dynamo Roller would need. You don't need to sit on the tower in Moray and try and fling down at people. You can do it, but at some point you're gonna need to go down because you just don't have the range to really kill that many people like that unless they're really close, like closer to you. And with a carbon, you're just not gonna really want to do that sort of thing. It's just not in their element. But you can, of course, do it. As you're seeing here, you can do it. It's just not really the element of it. With splat zones, I'm going to say that a roller is going to be your best friend if you like rollers in most cases, because you're going to be able to ink that baby up very quickly, but you still have to worry about people trying to kill you, so it's best to have a teammate that's really going to have your back, or just be very conscientious of your surroundings and try to get rid of anyone that's trying to hurt you. So let's say, we'll just say this is the zone. You know, sometimes it's not good to fling in people's faces. It can get you killed. And I mean, horizontally, I mean vertically. Like, it's not always the best thing to do. If someone does have range on you, chuck an auto bomb. I will make a video playing with the Flings, maybe even the carbon, since I really don't see myself using these splat rollers. If you guys want, I mean, I'm willing to use them if you guys want to see that. So I can make a part 2 to this and actually show me using them, so you can get more of a visual of how to use them. Otherwise, that is going to be it for this video. So if you liked it, make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and once again, if you guys really want the Splatfest footage, I have it. I was Team Mayo. We did win. I know my team did great. I know I did great in solo. All of that fun stuff. If not, it's cool. I still have a video up on it. And that is pretty much how the other videos would be sounding like. And see you next time.